Here's a scatterplot with color example that was done before the advent of VizHub version 3, which supports hot reloading and has simpler patterns for importing data. I'm going to go through and change this around so that it leverages the new patterns with VizHub version 3. Hopefully this could serve as a decent reference for how to migrate things from really truly vanilla HTML JavaScript into VizHub version 3 with hot reloading. So you can see here that there's an index.html and there's an index.js. And this index.js implements the pattern, the outer part of this pattern with state and set state, where we define the state and we define set state and we call render each time the state changes. In VizHub version 3, all this is implemented internally, so we don't have to implement this ourselves. So I'm going to delete index.html. This will trigger the VizHub version 3 runtime environment. Now everything is broken. And I'm also going to delete index.js as it is here, because the core logic is implemented in viz.js, which I will rename to be the new index.js. And this exports a thing called viz, which I will rename to main. And it says here D3 is imported but could not be resolved. That's because we need a package.json. And I'll pull that from one of my other examples, like this circles with D3 example. So I'll just take this content and drop it over here, and now it sort of runs. Now we're just missing the data. There is a data.csv right here, and the way that we're doing it in this older example is by using state.data and then asynchronously fetching the data. But that can be simplified. Yeah, see, here's this logic that says if data is undefined, then we set the data to be loading, and then we trigger a fetch. And by the way, this is still a totally valid pattern if you have externally hosted data or data coming from an API. But if we're in VizHub, we can use import from /data.csv. The only thing we need to keep is this parsing logic. So I'm going to cut that and then get rid of all this logic and also get rid of this unpacking of data from the state and get rid of this if check as well. So now data is undefined, but we can say import data from ./data.csv. And then I'll drop that parsing logic back in, and boom, our scatterplot shows up. All right, it's as simple as that, and now we get hot reloading. And this actually feels simpler to me because we don't have the overhead of defining index.html, doing all the asynchronous loading with data. And let me just test out the hot reloading. I'll just change the margin. Okay, look at that. That's pretty smooth. That's pretty good, pretty fast. And let me just check if this is responsive or quasi-responsive. I mean, it's not. That's okay, but it should at least look decent on page load. It does not, because the position of the color legend is hard-coded with respect to the upper left. Let me just do a quick change to fix that. That should be easy enough because color legend X and color legend Y are specified here. So you know what we can do is say color legend X is width minus some number, and it moved. And now we can use the interactive widgets to tweak that number and position it relative to the right side. And we can do the same for Y, saying height minus some number, and then use the hot reloading to position it properly. Okay, now if I open it full screen, the color legend is down there. And then if I adjust the browser zoom and refresh, it will be still in the bottom corner. And if I make things bigger and refresh, there it is in the bottom corner. Okay, that's how you can retrofit existing code that uses index.html and vanilla JavaScript to use the VizHub version 3 runtime environment, which supports hot reloading and these interactive widgets. Here's a challenge for you. Find some existing vanilla JavaScript implementation of some kind of a cool data viz and migrate it into VizHub. There used to be this thing called blocks.org, which was amazing, but there is an open source clone of it now called blocks.roadtolarissa.com. This was created by Adam Pierce, I believe. Yeah, one wheel. He does amazing data viz work. But anyway, this is an archive of some of the older D3 examples. And you can see, there was a ton of amazing work done back in the day when D3 was all about open source and vanilla JavaScript. And here's a cool trick you can use to search within that site. You can say site : blocks.roadtolarissa.com and then search for something like, I don't know, Choropleth, and you get some decent results. You could just open them up and see, there's some decent implementations, and it's all vanilla JavaScript. A lot of these use the just append, svg.append. So all of those would need to be modified to use the .join pattern so you can invoke the code multiple times. But I think there's a lot of good old reference implementations that we could draw from and create a sort of a new set of reference examples for various techniques. Thanks for watching, and good luck.